Hello everyone. Today I have an altered planner to share, and this was from my Happy Planner, I think is the name of it, and I did try to use this as a planner and I used most of it, but I didn't end up liking this style of planner, and so I had these pieces of the planner and I loved the style because I bought that style, but I wasn't using it. So I decided to alter it and use it for junk journaling. And I'm showing you my stash of scrap papers that I'm going to be pulling from. And going on right on in, I am going to take some papers and just make a pretty background. I'm basically making beautiful backgrounds here. And so you need adhesive and paper, scrap papers, and that's about it for this, well, in an old planner. And this style of planner has kind of just paper pages, and then the month cards are kind of a stronger paper, more of a cardstock, and so those are the ones I end up using because I don't need all of the pages. So here I have some ledger paper that I'm placing down, and another tool that's really useful to have, not necessary, but is a ruler, and I love this ruler. It's by Tim Holtz, I believe, and it's see-through. There's a lot I love about this ruler, but I use it all the time in crafting. So here is another layout here I'm doing. I'm trimming down this paper from my scrap bin, and I thought the colors went really nice with that divider there that's on the right. It's floral, and that one I can just use as it is. It doesn't have any sentiment that I need to cover up. So I'm using my corner rounder here just to add some corners there, and then this is some scrap like bullet journal paper that I had printed out for something. I don't know. I've got all kinds of stuff in the scrap bin, and you can even see some gel printed scrap paper up in the top of the frame. I might use that later, I'm not sure. So I really like the flowers that were sticking out on the edges of this paper, so I kind of wanted to keep that, but I don't need the goal planning. I didn't even use that when I was using it as a planner anyway, so I'm covering up the things that I don't need, and that's the main idea here, is cover up what you don't need and keep what you love. And that way I can keep using this planner that I purchased the pages for, and I already used them in planning and keeping track of dates and things, but this was a few years, no, like 5 years old, but I still had it because I loved some of those pages. So moving on here to another page where I had done the ledger paper on the left. Well, I wanted to just cover up a lot of this other page. So another trick that I use is to put the glue directly on the page or the tape runner, glue runner in this case, put that down where I want it to be covered, and then just place the papers on around it and then tear the edges. So I like using torn edges. I like that style, and so there's a lot of tearing, and I do use the smaller scraps. When it gets to be really tiny, I recycle those, and I'm using a combination of wet tacky glue, and then this tape runner here that you can see in the bottom of the screen is not my favorite, okay? So don't think I recommend it. I thought I used to like it, and I don't know, I bought it again and I kind of hate it, but I'm using it up, and so just because I use it doesn't mean I like it. I want to use up what I have, but I don't think I would buy that one again. That's the Glue Arts, I can't remember what it's called, but I'm using it because I have it, but it's not my favorite. So taking scraps, and then here is another layout here I'm going to do, and at the very end of the video I will show you a flip through of all the pages I made slower. And so here I am covering up most of this page. I think that was a used calendar page, and this paper is actually from a composition notebook that I just use it to collect extra ink and paint, and so that I don't waste it. I think it's an idea, if I remember who that is from, it's another YouTuber, and I cannot remember, but she does the morsels, mixed media morsels, that sort of thing. I think that's where I got the idea of the Use It Up book, but a lot of artists have a book where they just collect extra inks and paints. So that's where that paper was from, and I pulled that out of the scraps. And then I have some more of that, and so another idea here is repetition. If it's on one side, bring it in on the other. I think I will end up using that black splotchy paper again on this other side, and it helps it to go together. So here I am putting the glue down on the page, and they come out of the book, so I took it out and I'm using it that way. And then my favorite ruler, and I'm just going to tear the edges. So sometimes I want more of a straighter edge but torn, and other times I want it to be a little more organic. This one I'm wanting that straight edge, but I don't want it to be a perfect cut straight edge. I want it to be a torn straight edge, and so that is where this ruler comes in handy. And on this side, I guess I'll just use my fingers to tear it. And look at that beautiful dictionary page. Actually, is that dictionary? I don't know. It says vocabulary and notes, but so here I'm going to bring in this other paper that I have on the other side and be able to bring in that color. And again, this time I'm gluing the paper, but I didn't glue the whole paper. I just glued a part of the paper because I want to tear it off, but I want that torn edge to be organic and a little unpredictable. And so sometimes it can help if you put the glue where you definitely want it to stick, and then you just kind of tear around and you get this really unpredictable look. And so here I am again putting the wet glue down, and if you let it fully dry, it gives an even different look too. You can get some really neat effects, but try that out and don't have any expectations, but have fun with it, and you'll see that it's a pretty fun technique. It's a little hard to control, but it does give some good, organic, torn, distressed look. And here I'm just tearing, and this is really, I liked what happened here where it tore the paper underneath. Sometimes that will happen with the wet glue, but I liked that distressed look that I got there by doing that. So again, I have the other side of that black painted paper actually had this kind of light mauve purple color that I thought went really well with the original color of the page. And so I was keeping some of that, and some of that pattern and color I want to keep. I just didn't want necessarily the sentiments that are in the middle, and I want to be able to kind of have a neutral background because I don't know what I'm going to use this junk journal planner for in the future, and so I want it to be able to be used for the most things. So it's got to be somewhat subtle. I want it to be I'm not trying to make a focal point, I guess, with these pages. I'm trying to make a nice cohesive background. Here's another magazine page that I had in my scraps because before I recycled the magazine or threw it out, I took the colors and papers and things that I really liked. And this one on the left is from a gel print, and it was probably one I was just experimenting with because it looks like it's just on ruled paper, which normally I would be using a different paper. Then I have some sort of dictionary type paper, and I'm gonna put some of it on each side. It's a nice neutral. I love using book pages and dictionary. This page here was probably generated during gel printing, but I think it's the off print from the brayer, like a really wet brayer that I was cleaning off on a side paper, and so I like to keep those to use in my junk journals and things like this. This paper here came from an art journaling subscription box, and it was just a printed paper that came with it. But here I'm bringing in the purples that are kind of on in the background paper, but I wanted to keep that kind of purple look, and that was sort of the inspiration for this little spread of 2 pages is using, I loved the flowers that you can see peeking out behind, but you needed to cover up the goal spots or the planner spots that are there. So keep what you love, cover up what you don't need. Those are some good methods to use in this altered planner junk journal style book that I'm working in. And again, another basic idea to remember is repetition when you're trying to do like a 2-page spread. So you see how I have two of a lot of the papers. I'll do one on one side and I'll use another piece that I've torn off on the other side. So this magazine page, it is also on the left side page, and then yeah, pretty much all the papers. I have two of them. I've just torn them. I tear it in half and use one on one side and one on the other. And you know it goes together because it's from the same one, but it's not torn exactly the same, so it has its own unique look, which is, yeah, works pretty well. And yeah, I do a lot of tearing, and I'm also a very visual worker when I'm journaling, so I have to see it, and then sometimes I decide to change it. So yeah, the liquid glue is great for when I haven't really decided exactly what I want. And then you also get to see in this video why my tacky glue has this foam on the outside of it. What is that? Well, I don't know. It just had an idea one day that why do I need to use another tool to press my paper down? And so I put the foam on my glue bottle so I can actually use the glue bottle to press the things down. And I still use a bone folder a lot, and I'm using a scraping tool to get things down, but you know, I guess I just can't stick to one method. But sometimes certain tools are better for other things. So here's how this one turns out. And not every tool can do everything. So here's another 2-page spread, and I love the flowers. Again, I even like that brown color. So what I'm doing here is thinking, well, what can I cover up? What can I leave? And then how can I make the other page look like it belonged with it? So I have a piece of book page here, and I'm using the method where I put the tape runner right down on the page, and I just ran the tape runner over the areas of that kind of sentiment that you see in the back, or you saw in the background, because I want that all covered up, but then I want ragged, torn edges around it. And so I don't know exactly how it's going to tear, but at least I get the part I want covered up, if that hopefully makes sense to you. So and then, you know, if you don't like it, you can tear it some more, which I often do, or you can cover it up, which is great. So here I have another piece of brayer or gel print. It might be gel printed paper, and I'm adding that. And then on the left side, it's way too white for what I've got going on there, so I'm just pulling different pages in and looking at things. And I found this other paper is also from that art journal subscription box that I had for a time, and I love the greens there and the brown tones, and so it's kind of bringing out some of that from the other page. I'm not too worried about the purple that's showing through right where it attaches to the rings, because there is some of that purple in the flowers too. And I also have coffee dyed paper scraps, which is this one that's on the bottom there, and the polka dots are kind of, it's not quite wrapping paper, but it was a paper roll that I had, and those are scraps from that. And of course we've got to bring in some more book page, and book page makes great neutrals. And I love text and typography, so I love seeing that in the background of things that I work on. And tearing all the edges off there. I don't want to see any white peeking through in between the pages. A lot of times if I'm doing an art journal page, I'll leave that because it's adds some interest. But at this point, I think it would be distracting. I don't want it. And so for this page, I'm covering up all the places where they meet, where any of the white would be showing through. Right now, I think I'm just pulling in some more of that painted gel print paper. It is over there on the right as well, and I'm just adding a couple scraps to the left-hand side to bring that color in also on this side. And it kind of, that's the repetition element also that brings the two pages together as well. So moving on to another spread here, I have some more coffee dyed paper, and I definitely didn't like the straight edge. I like the straight edge on the side, but I tore the other side, and I've got some more book page. This is like the credits at the end of the book. It's probably not called credits, but maybe it is called credits, I'm not sure. But I couldn't waste that. I had to use it. So that it's great in a background because it's not all that interesting by itself. But it looks good in the background, just adding a little bit of pop of text here and there. So then I have some dictionary page or something there. And on the right hand side, there's that sentiment that was the month page in the original Happy Planner. I loved the flowers, I loved the text background, but again, I'm not, the words are distracting if I'm using this as a junk journal page. This piece of turquoise teal greenish colored paper came from that Use It Up composition book, and I just had extra paint or something, and I just love that color. I think it really brings out that turquoise and teal that's in the flower on the right hand side, and that is basically one of my favorite colors. So of course I wanted to bring that out. And then I'm adding a little scrap of this. In fact, I think is wrapping paper. It's like a craft wrapping paper, and somehow I had a scrap of it. Maybe it was on a gift or something, but you know, I hang on to a lot of stuff, but I do use it a lot of stuff also. So this here is some craft paper from, you know, when you get something in the mail and it's got that packing paper. And I lost a little bit of footage here because I was out of frame. And so, but that's how I finished up that page. Now here's the a little slower walkthrough of the different pages that I made. Please let me know if you like this kind of video. I do have more footage of a couple of the pages that I show here in slower. And if you're interested in seeing the process video of that, I can go ahead and do that. It's a lot of editing, so I don't want to do it if it's not that interesting to people. So please let me know in the comments and by liking this video if you like this sort of video, because that will help me to know whether I should invest my time in that or not. And I thank you again for watching. I hope I have inspired you to try something like this, or even just any kind of spark of creativity. That's my goal. I think creativity breeds more creativity, and I love sharing it with you all, and I love you guys sharing your comments in below, because it does give me more ideas, and it helps. We help each other with our creativity. This is a beautiful page. I love how, so the left side I just did collaging, the right side was mostly from the original. So I couldn't throw out those beautiful pages that were in this planner. And then I decided I know how I can use them. I can turn it into a junk journal. Here I've just put an oval and some doilies covering up the original page. And I left most of the original month blocks there. I loved that polka dot one there. And I've used a lot of book page on the left to bring it together. And finally, here's another one. Thanks again for watching. Have a wonderful creative day. Bye!